Hi, everybody. My name is Rita Crompton. I'm also known as the Inventor Lady, and I am in lovely Boston, and it is really hot. So I'm here for meetings and to visit with and meet with inventors. And what we're going to talk about today is intellectual property. And I know we talk about it a lot, but it is important. And it tends to be the first rabbit hole that the inventor, to coin a term from my friend and colleague, George Peters, people race down the rabbit hole and then they can't get out. But someone replied to my podcast that I did last week when I said, control your most valuable asset, your intellectual property. And he came up, this gentleman's pendulum was swinging to both extremes, and it's unfortunate because he got taken advantage of on both sides of that. But let's go over, the two issues. One was, he said he filed in over 70 countries. No. You just don't, most inventors don't have that kind of money, but you don't need it, all right? You file in the country where you figure the most of your business is gonna come from, and for most of us, that is America. All right, most inventors, the bulk of your business is going to be America. So that's where you're going to file. And, sometimes I've had people say, EU is going to be big for me. I'm going to file there, maybe Canada. But that's it. There are other things that you use to control the marketplace in other countries without filing a patent. All right. So first, where is your most business coming from? Then the other place you consider, all right, is where do you think it's going to be manufactured? I get some inventors, a lot of inventors, who will file a PCT, the Patent Cooperation Treaty. And it gives you kind of a simple version of, more complicated version of a provisional patent application, because it gives you a timestamp and you get 30 months to decide which countries you are going to file in. And it does get approved, unlike the US provisional patent application. The PCT does get reviewed and approved. But it gives you time. It gives you 30 months to, test the markets. Are you going to have big business in the EU? Did you think you were going to manufacture in China, but you end up manufacturing in Mexico? And those are the two countries that the licensee I am working with currently I feel are the biggest threat, China and Mexico. So those are the two things that you look at, the two things that you decide on. All right, where is your biggest market for selling, and where do you believe it's going to be manufactured? And those are the two locations where you file. And the PCT can come in handy just to protect that time frame. All right, so US is first, and then you've got 12 months from your first filing, whether it's a provisional or the non-provisional, the utility, to decide, are you going to file a PCT, or do you know that you're going to file in one other country? For goodness sake, 70 countries, give me a break. All right. Then the pendulum was swinging the other opposite direction. And they said, oh, no, you could have just gotten a copyright on this. No, copyrights protect certain things, and it's not how something is used. The copyright protects exactly the way it was written and exactly the way it was written. All right. It's like when you copyright a novel or a work of art. If somebody else changes a part of it, you're toast. All right. They can get around it. And the other part of that is that copyrights are not how something is used. It doesn't protect how it is used. So yes, they were right that nobody else could write a patent exactly like that one and not be infringing on the original work that was copyrighted, and all that's protected is the way it was written. If you get some creative attorney that writes it differently, you're no longer protected. There are no shortcuts when it comes to intellectual property. At the meeting Monday night, there was a person there selling a new version of a program where you feed into the computer and it spits out a provisional patent application for you. No, come on. How many times do we have to say there are no shortcuts to this? It is one step after another. Brian Freed was a speaker on Monday night, and I did agree with him when, he was talking about his, oh, by the way, he is the executive director of the United Inventors Association. And I appreciated what he had to say, because he was right on from his experience as an inventor. At one point he was thinking, well, I'll just do my own search and save a few bucks. And when he said, yeah, I'm thinking maybe I should get a search done. And sure as the world, something came up. And he goes, I would have missed this, and it would have cost me a lot of money. That independent search, another eye, somebody who isn't wedded to it already, has nothing to lose by finding it. All right, you want someone like that to take another look at it so that you are not wasting your money. Sometimes the $500 you spend on the search is the best $500 you spent, because getting a no that you need is certainly better than going down the rabbit hole and spending a ton of money only to find out when you're sitting across from a licensee, it's like, we've got one of these. That is not what you want to hear after you've spent a ton of money. All right, so back to our first gentleman who had spent nearly $1 million on intellectual property. Oh, for heaven's sakes. A good utility patent on a consumer product is going to run you somewhere around $8,000 to $10,000. A good provisional is the front half. Don't do the $99 version. There are 3 reasons, there's probably more, but I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why you file a good provisional patent application and you don't do it yourself. The first one is budgeting. All right. If a good utility filing is going to run 8 to 10, the provisional should run around 4. All right. It's going to have some drawings. It might have a claim in there, and then it gets fleshed out over the years so you can put in some improvements on it. Now, they're not going to have the original date, but you can add them. It gives you some time. But then the other thing is that if you could write one on toilet paper and send it in. Nobody's going to take a look at it and pass judgment on it. The problem is you can't go after a licensee with a really poorly written provisional application. If you spend the money on the first half of that utility in the provisional, now you've got something that you can actually show a potential licensee that's got some teeth in it. And that's what they want. But if you cut corners, and honestly, any one of us that's experienced in this, we can go through and circle the words that the program filled in, because most of it is generic. And then all of a sudden, there's a word that's unique to you. That brings us to the third reason why you do not do a computer program for it and you do not do it yourself. All right. If you are challenged on your filing date, if someone accuses you of infringing, or someone says, no, I filed something, and you end up in court, then your provisional is looked at. It is judged and dissected. Do you have an enabling disclosure in there? Could someone look at it who's practiced in that field and make it? And if not, it's thrown out. Well, now you've spent all this time and energy, mental and emotional and physical energy, to get to where you are, and it's thrown out because you cut corners with your provisional application? No, this is something this is not where you cut corners. There's places where you can squeeze a nickel and, you can do something else. There are other places for that. This is not it. This is not it. When I did my video and I said, protect your most valuable asset, protect it. All right. You're going to spend some money on it, but not $1 million. When I get somebody that says, I spent $50,000 on my intellectual property, it's like, really? I could have had you in the marketplace for 50 grand. So manage it, understand it, know when you're getting a good deal or not. If you have questions, call me, send me an email. I know really good attorneys, registered patent attorneys, $210 an hour, $210 an hour, not $600. They're not paying for a fancy car. They're real guys. And so, let me know if you need some help in that. Keep it under control. If it sounds bizarre, get somebody else to talk to. All right. If it sounds too good to be true, like, oh, it's only $99, find somebody else to talk to. If you go to the doctor and they tell you you've got brain surgery and we're going to cut you up, so, I think I'm going to get a second opinion on that. Get a second opinion, maybe a third opinion. In your gut when it sounds right. So in this case, follow your gut, don't go down the rabbit hole, and don't cut corners on your intellectual property. If you have any questions, all right, shoot me an email, Rita@inventorlady.com, and Rita@Archimedes.com. This piece, when you're going through the Archimedes Offspring mentoring program and funding program to get to have access to that $25,000 up to $75,000. This is the most important first step, is really understanding your intellectual property, managing it correctly. Because when you come to me to go through the vetting process for Archimedes Offspring, if you did it yourself, you used a fly-by-night template, all right? You didn't use a registered patent attorney for the opinion. It's over. We don't even analyze the product, because for Archimedes Offspring and the management team, it is all about how good is that intellectual property and how did you manage it. Archimedes Offspring will help pay for it, all right? But you have to protect it. That's your job, all right? We help you, we stand behind you, we try to put up barriers to protect you, but as you're coming in the door, all right, if you've started down the rabbit hole, it's real hard to pull you back out. My name is Rita Crompton. Reach out, ask me questions, send me your comments, because a lot of times that leads to another conversation. But you can reach out to me, 303-910-8889, or Rita at Archimedes Offspring. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks.